Hey, welcome back to another edition of Minuteman Command. I got a special guest on today. We got assistant coach, quarterback coach Drew Belcher here. Drew, thanks for coming on.
Yeah, no doubt. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man, excited to talk some ball and real excited to talk quarterback. But before we get into that, I know we've known each other a while now, but if you can give our viewers just a little background on, where you're from, where you played college ball, and what you've been doing coaching since.
Sure. So initially from Reading, Massachusetts, played at Reading High School, Reading Memorial High School. Um, Played as a quarterback. Then went to the University of Maine. Um, Started out there as a quarterback. Played a little bit as a freshman and sophomore. And then when Coach Harasimiak took over, he was the defensive coordinator when I was there. My first 2 years, when he took over as the head coach, switched over to tight end. For my last 3 years in college. So my senior season was Coach Harasimiak's last season at Maine. We were national semifinalists, and then after that, bounced around the NFL just for a year. Signed with Arizona as undrafted free agent, and then practice squad with the Washington Commanders. And then after that, took a year off and then got into coaching. Started off as an intern at the University of New Hampshire, and then was a running back coach. Quarterback coach for 2 seasons, and then last year I was the offense coordinator there. So this is my first 4 or 5 months at the University of Massachusetts. Obviously, having played for Joe and having that relationship with him, kind of excited to be aboard here, and it's been a really good 5-6 months.
Awesome, man. We're excited to have you. It's funny you just said 5, 6 months. I feel like you guys have been here for a long time. I remember coming in, watching one of Joe's press conferences and meeting with you guys when the staff was getting together and going to the clinic. It almost feels like you've been there for a while.
No, it certainly feels that way. And again, especially when you get in the swing of things, especially through spring ball and everything like that, you get in the routine. Uh, every time I think about it, I'm like, gosh, it's really only been 5 months or so. So, so far so good.
Awesome. So, man, I love talking football, but I specifically love talking quarterbacks. And I did a breakdown with the Minuteman Command on Grant Jordan and Brandon Rose before they came in when you guys signed them as in the transfer portal, and I got to see a lot of stuff. But I'd love to hear a little bit about AJ Hairston. I got to watch him break down his film a little bit of the Georgia game last year, and watch him come in as a freshman and throw that ball down the field. And what I've seen so far is that really, really live arm talent. And I'm interested to hear from you how he looked in the spring.
Yeah, so AJ was a guy who was here when we came in as a staff, and I think initially we watched his tape and we were like, gosh, he did a lot of good things as a true freshman, especially in some tough situations, like you said, down at Georgia, playing in an SEC stadium, and I think the first thing, like you said, that pops out about him is his arm talent. Really gifted arm. Can really push the football down the field, throws the ball with high velocity. And again, I think the number one trait about him that's so intriguing is he's fearless, and I think that's something that's important at the quarterback position. He's not afraid to push the football down the field. He wasn't scared when he went into games last year. He played confident football and he made some plays, and so he was able to get his feet wet last year and play some live football early on, young in his career, which is obviously super beneficial for the quarterback position. But he's a guy that's grown a lot, I think, throughout spring. Again, you usually make a big jump from that freshman fall to that freshman spring when you start to get a bunch of reps. But he's in the unique position where he's already played a little bit, so he's kind of got that confidence about him. I think his teammates see that in him, where they know he's done some things on the field. He's done some things on Saturdays. So he's a guy we're really excited about his future. He's continuing to change his body. Again, you almost remind yourself that he is just a freshman. He's made great strides in the weight room this offseason in the winter, and then he had a really good spring.
Man, that's great to hear. Fearless is a great word to use too, because now going back and thinking about his film from Georgia, he went in there guns blazing like he's been doing this forever. And to hear that, and also how it is, Coach, when a new staff comes in, a lot of times guys are just ready to jump ship. And he had some film, he had some good film, and maybe he would have had some opportunities. But to hear that, that's how his mentality is. He's going to be a competitor. He's going to compete, and he's going to put UMass in the best situation possible.
No question. Yeah, it's excited. And again, we're excited about him, and he's done a really good job so far with the new staff and the transition so far this spring.
Awesome. And another guy that was on the team when you guys got there is Will Perry. Will Perry, another local guy, Massachusetts guy. And tell me about Will Spring.
Yeah, so Will did a good job. Will's a really smart football player. You can tell he comes from a football family. His dad was a longtime high school coach. Both of his uncles are collegiate coaches. His older brother had a stint in the NFL. I think he's still playing in the UFL right now. So you can just tell he comes from a quarterback family. He's smart. He has a really smart high football IQ. And like AJ, he was thrown into the fire a little bit last year as well, and did well in their last game of the year last year. So we kind of have a rare instance where we have two freshmen on the roster that have both played in actual games. Obviously, AJ played in 4 games and Will only playing in 1. But I think that gives those guys some confidence that they can go out there and do it. And they've both had moments in games. And again, Will's been a good teammate throughout the spring, and he's taken advantage of his opportunities. And you get in really, really smart football player.
Listen, and great job by you guys. I mean, another example of two solid freshman quarterbacks in the same class, still on the same team. Another thing you don't see a lot, and I think that says a lot about the culture of the program and about those two kids as well. Um, you got a early enrollee, Zach Lawrence, kid from North Carolina. I know he came in January, so you've been with him now for the same amount of time you've been there. So tell us a little bit about Zach.
Yeah, so yeah, it's almost funny. Him and really our whole coaching staff kind of came in together at the same time. But yeah, Zach's a kid from North Carolina. Again, learning how to play and operate in a collegiate system. I think obviously you forget that. Gosh, his high school teammates and everything like that are still in classes and still going through, haven't even graduated yet. So I think another thing that pops out about Zach is he's really smart. He's in high academic classes. He's able to kind of process very quickly, which is something that's important for a quarterback. And he has a quick twitchy release. He gets the ball out of his hands quickly because I think, again, he's able to process so quickly. So he's a guy that's going to make a ton of growth as we go through fall camp. We go through a season, and he gets a whole year of being in a college weight room and being in a college off season. But we're really excited about his future as well. Really smart football player with a bright future.
Man, that's great to hear because coming in that first year, whether that's camp, whether it's January, whether you're coming in June, whatever it is, I mean, it's overwhelming learning the offense, the protection, the motions, the shifts. I mean, everything that you got to handle as a quarterback. I think people take that for granted. And they think, these guys come in and they have all full scholarship and all these things, but the amount of work you have to put in to be an FBS football player, I don't think people understand. I don't think people understand how they're almost never home, like you guys, like the coaches, and they're just there. I mean, almost 24/7, and to hear him that he's learning the offense that quickly and picking up things quick. I mean, we talked about that growth from year to 1 to 2 being, so strong. So for him, just in those last couple of months to be able to grow like that and understand the offense, I think is going to be huge for him.
Yeah, no doubt. He gets better every single practice. He learns something every single practice. He's a guy that is going to put the time in when you're not in the room, and he puts in time on his own at night and everything like that. So we're really excited about him. Again, it's you almost forget that he's only been here, gosh, in college. Not only take the football out of it in college for 4 months. So he's got a ton of room to grow, and we're excited to see that happen.
Great, great. And then, I mentioned breaking down the film of Grant Jordan, quarterback from Yale, be a senior. He'll be your oldest guy class wise in the room. What I saw his film was definitely leadership, a lot of athletic ability. I saw him escapability and movement was really good, and looked really accurate on film. So, tell us a little bit about Grant Spring.
Yeah, so Grant did a great job. Again, a little bit different system than he was in at Yale. So again, it's no matter where you're coming from, no matter how old you are, anytime you step into a new offense, is going to be a little bit of a transitional period and a little bit of growing pains. And you could see him really get better as spring went on. I thought he started to practice really well, especially towards the end of spring. And again, he's played high level football, right? The Ivy League is really good football. And again, the things you said about him are pretty much spot on, right? He's an athletic kid. I think his leadership traits in the offseason and the winter programs right when he got here were noticeable. He kind of took command right from the get-go, and his teammates looked at him as somewhat of who's going to be a leader throughout the season. So he did a great job through spring. Again, even though he's an older guy, he's continuing to get better, which is great to see. He's getting accustomed to the system, which is a little bit obviously different than what he's done the last 3 or 4 years at Yale. But a guy that's done a really good job in his 4 or 5 months here. Again, taking a leadership role right out the gate. And again, he has those tools. He has athleticism. He can make plays with his legs and create a little bit. So, we're really excited about Brandon, and we thought he had a really good spring.
Awesome. And then, Brandon Rose, I know he suffered an injury last year. I believe it was a game against BYU. And, still not cleared yet, but he's been at school and been in classes and in your meetings and walkthroughs and things like that. So tell me how Brandon's been, handling that part of not being able to play and, some of the things he's shown in his leadership and as a person and a teammate, throughout this spring.
Yeah, no doubt. I think, the thing about Brandon is, and we talked to him about this, like you can still feel his energy at practice, even when he wasn't going in practice. He's been doing a great job in meetings, taking advantage of mental reps, staying locked in at practice, being a good teammate at practice. He's helping out the wide receivers. He's helping out the tight ends. He's helping out the running backs throughout practice, kind of being a coach on the field, which is something we really tried to stress to him, and he took full advantage of that. And then as he can, he's done a great job. Again, the biggest thing for him is just continuing with his rehab. He's done a great job. He looks great right now. And again, we're really excited about him, but he's done a good job, and it's not an easy thing to come in as a new guy, not initially, being ready to go for spring, but he's done a great job of coming in, staying locked in, learning the offense, great meetings, taking great notes. And again, I think the biggest thing is you can feel him out at practice amongst his teammates, kind of being a coach on the field, and kind of really building that bond and relationship, which is something that was really crucial for him coming in as a transfer guy.
Man, this is great. I love to hear it. I mean, kudos to you, Coach H, obviously, Coach Mike, and the culture to have 5 guys in the room. That's one thing that kind of drives me crazy in college football right now. And working with a lot of guys that I work with, I tell them to just stay where you're at and grind it out, because you see how thin these rooms get, especially at the FBS level. A lot of rooms are three quarterbacks in there. For you guys to have five guys in similar classes, outside of Grant, and then to also have these guys competing, on a daily basis of working together. Yeah, I think that's great just shows the culture of the team and the quarterback room, which I think says a lot about the team. And I always talk about offensive line and different positions that are so important, but like the leaders of that room, of that quarterback room, obviously have a big direct on the culture. I think lastly, I'd like to ask you, so your background, Reading High School, you went to Maine, your senior year, you're a captain, you guys make it to the semifinals, have had the best season, in the history of Maine football. You've been coaching quarterbacks now for a while. When you're looking at recruiting a young guy, like what do you want to see in them outside of the fundamentals, outside of shorts and a t-shirt? Like when you came into UMass and you're working with these guys, tell me some traits that you love to see. You mentioned fearless, you've mentioned some other words, intelligent, accurate, athletic, all these different things. Tell me something else that you'd like to see in some of these quarterbacks.
Yeah, I think the first thing in terms of personality traits is you got to have a level of confidence that obviously it doesn't have to be arrogance, but it has to be a level of confidence, because in college football, especially when you get to this level, FCS level, FBS level, really, gosh, any level, Division II, Division III, you're going to hit some bumps in the road. It's not going to be easy. You go in from being in a situation where you're probably the guy, if you're getting recruited at this level, not only in your high school, but maybe in your state or maybe in your area, and you're going to come in and you're going to realize that a lot of these guys can play too. So you got to have that level of confidence to be able to battle through adversity, whether it's early on, whether it's in your junior or sophomore year, but you got to have that confidence that confident in your ability. Number one, I think that's, the thing we preach all the time is it's hard for other people to believe in you if you don't believe in yourself. So that's something we look for, especially the quarterback position, because again, it's not just 10 other guys on offense that need to believe in you. It's the whole entire team. When you have a quarterback who can go, who believes in himself, and it puts you in a position to really be in or compete to win every single game. So I think that's something that's key. I think the other thing is just processing, being able to process, right? High academic students are always a good thing, but then again, just being able to sit down with guys throughout the recruiting process and getting them on a whiteboard and seeing how they're able to retain information. I think you see all this stuff nowadays on the internet of guys going through their NFL draft prep meetings and everything like that. But that stuff's important because especially when you're trying to install new things every single week, when you're trying to, you only have so many limited reps, guys need to be able to be sharp mentally and be able to process information quickly, and put it out on the field. So I think that confidence level is important, and the ability to process information and process it quickly is something that we look for beyond the physical traits.
Awesome, Coach. Hey, there you have it, everyone. Coach Drew Belcher, thanks for coming on. Looking forward to talking some more ball with you in the future.
Appreciate your time. Thank you.